If you have a hard copy Bible, there's a page between Malachi and Matthew. There's a single blank page. Now, between that page and Matthew, between that Malachi page and Matthew was a space of 400 years. It was called the Silent Age. It was called the Dark Age. Between Malachi chapter 4 and the recording of Matthew chapter 1, there was 400 years of silence. God didn't speak to any prophet. It was called the Dark Age. It was called the Silent Period. But God was not silent within these 400 years. While they were singing the song, so when he was singing that, what song does is to tune us to the awareness of the realms of God and the goodness of God. So while he was singing that song, I just started thinking, I said, wow. Through the Old Testament, God was speaking every day through prophet, and it came no more word, no visions, nothing. 400 years of silence. But three significant things happened within that 400 years that prepared the coming of Christ. So God had stopped speaking and started walking, and nobody knew that God was walking. I was sharing something with my pastor friend. I said, look, none of us understand God at work until he finishes. It's when God finishes, we look back and say, wow. So it was actually God that was doing this thing. So within those 400 years, three events happened. Number one was the birth of Alexander the Great. When he was born, he conquered the entire universe and brought Greek as the universal language, the language that the New Testament will be written. So God was preparing a man, spreading. When he was conquering the world, he died at about 32 years. He died about 32. He had conquered the entire universe before 32 and died on his way back home. He didn't know his job was to spread this language that they will use to preach the gospel. The New Testament was written in Greek, and he was there. When he went, a group of 70 men came up and took the Hebrew Bible and translated it into the Greek Bible called the Septuagint. The Old Testament translated in it. So within the 400 years, they were translating the Bible. Another third thing that happened was the rise of the Roman Empire. What Roman Empire did was to create roads. There were no roads from Rome to Africa, so they came and started grading roads, highways that missionaries will use. So when it seems as though God is silent, it's because what he's doing is so heavy that he doesn't have time to talk. So when you've prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and you're not hearing again, before he used to talk every moment, all those things he told you, he started making way for their fulfillment. All the promises, he has started making ways for their, and you will wonder, why is it for 400 years nobody talks like God? He talks so much that he called himself the Word. He called Moses up, and for 40 days he was talking. He had given Moses the tablet that had just 10 commandments. He should have let him go, but for 40 days he was talking. He had not finished what he was saying. He had to let Moses go. And yet for 400 years, nobody had his voice. People prayed. Where is God? He was now very busy walking through men, doing what he had said. He was bringing them to pass. So when you seem to be in a silent period, God is in an active season. So your silent period is God's active season. You go to fast, you didn't hear anything. You pray, you didn't hear anything. But before, there was a time you barely had knelt down and he had spoken a word. He's actually at work to bring his word. He may not be directly working with you, but he has begun to align men and situations in your life to bring prophecies and promises to pass. For 400 years, empires rose and fizzled out. Each of the empires were walking in God's plan. This one brought the language that everybody will understand. This one now came and graded roads. So Paul could travel. So Peter and them could travel. And it was in their time, in Roman Empire time, that Jesus was born. Because every prophecy of his birth fitted into the Roman Empire. Praise God. So there is nothing like God's silence in your life. When you can't hear him, trust he's busy. He's doing something in your life.